What is going on, everyone? It's John from 16 Views, and today I'm going to give you 7 tips on how to video edit on a mid to low spec computer. So the computer I edit on is a Lenovo Yoga 730 with 8th gen i5, 8GB of RAM, and then Intel 620 integrated graphics. I edit all my videos on that computer, so I'm going to give you some insight into how to get the best video editing performance on your computer. I just want to start by saying you can obviously try programs like Premiere or Final Cut or DaVinci, but you're still not going to get the best results possible just because of how heavy those programs are. I recommend Filmora 9 because that's a video editor that I use, and it's very simple and doesn't require extreme amounts of computer performance, but it's still really good and gives beginners everything they need to get started in video editing. Okay, so with that aside, let's get to my very first tip. Shoot in 1080p. Just do it. Unless you have a video clip that you know you're going to want to crop in on, just shoot in 1080p. 90% of the people watching your content are going to be watching it on either a computer or their phone. Most people aren't even going to have a computer or a phone that can even display 4K content. 4K, like the number says, has 4 times the amount of detail compared to 1080p, which is 4 times more pixels that your computer is going to have to be processing when editing video. So just shoot in 1080p. It still looks great, and it's going to speed up your computer just because it has so much less detail that you'll have to be processing. Okay, tip number 2 is whenever possible, make sure to have your computer plugged in. The processor needs a lot of power, and so if it's running off battery, it will not be using its full potential and throttling back to therefore save power. If you plug your computer in though, your processor will have all the power it needs to maintain its, very high clock speeds, which will therefore give you better performance when video editing. This leads me to my third point. Since your computer is plugged in and your processor is going to be running at very high clock speeds, you're going to want to make sure that your computer is as cooled down as possible to reduce from thermal throttling, which is basically when your processor gets so hot that it brings down its performance to help it cool down a little bit. Most computers will have fans that use intake vents on either the bottom or the sides and bring air in, spin it around, and blow it on the processor to kind of cool it down. You want to make sure that those vents are never covered up so the fans have as much air to bring in and cool down the processor. So I would recommend just kind of lifting your computer up a little bit. The intake vents are normally on the bottom. Just lift your computer up so that they have all the air they need to circulate through the device and cool your processor down. Okay, so tip 4 is when editing, try to edit off your internal SSD if you have enough space, of course, because this is the fastest storage option you have available versus an SD card or a hard drive, so this will give you the best performance. Tip 5 is make a proxy for all the videos and clips that you're going to be editing. A proxy is basically a lower quality copy of the original clip that your computer will use in the timeline to edit, so it doesn't have to process the full amount of detail and full quality of that clip. Once you begin rendering though and exporting the video, your computer will automatically switch back to the full clip, so you don't have to worry about any quality loss or anything like that. Every video editor is different, so you'll just have to search up how to make a proxy in your given editor, but it's normally very easy and it's just one click. It does take a little time to process and make a proxy, so you'll have to find something to do while that's loading. Tip 6 is make sure you don't have any other tabs open in the background. When video editing off a lower spec computer, you only have so much RAM to work with, and video editing takes a lot of RAM. And so you want to make sure you have as much RAM as possible for your video editing and it's not taken up by tabs opened in the background. My next tip is to make sure you save your color grading as the very last step in your video editing process. If you color grade towards the beginning, every time you replay that clip that you color graded, your computer will not only have to be processing that clip, but also the color grading you put over it, which will therefore slow your computer down. And my last tip is to set the preview box that's displaying your video and what you're working on to a quarter quality or half quality, and this will basically then just show you the clips at half quality and it won't have to process as much of those pixels again while you are previewing it. This can help with smoother playback and won't result in like dropped frames or anything like that, which is really annoying as a video editor when you're having frames drop all the time and you can't really tell what's going on. All in all, you really want to take as many steps as possible to reduce the quality of your clips and your playback, just so your computer doesn't have to process as much information and pixels as it normally would with any full quality clip. Okay, I hope those 7 tips were kind of helpful. If you like kind of like video tutorials or stuff like this, think about subscribing or maybe just drop a like down. I don't remember which side it was, but I recently made a 16 views Instagram. If you want to follow it, it'll be up in the cards on one of these sides. So give that a follow if you'd like to. If you have any questions about anything, just drop a comment below. I have nothing to do. I'm stuck under quarantine, so I'll answer as soon as possible. This is John from 16 Views. See ya.